Welcome back. Resolving a family feud takes a lot of determination, courage, and self-control.
But experts say in the long run, it's worth it to resolve those family feuds. Counselor Heather Buer with the Valley Christian Counseling Center has some advice for us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
It can be, I mean, a big deal.
It can be a real big deal.
Right, and it can go on for years and years, these family feuds.
It's really unfortunate.
Yes. So where do you start to mend the fences?
Well, you know, there's two things I like to look at first when I'm working with families who are dealing with either new difficulties or long-standing difficulties. It doesn't really matter, you know. The first thing is family dynamics. And the fact of the matter is that all families are a little kooky. You know, we all have our quirks and we all have our unspoken rules. And so that's one thing I really like to talk about with people is, you know, you might really have to think about it a lot. Like when you're in the thick of it, you don't really see, you know, this is my family, it's all cool, whatever, you know, it's fine. But when you really think about it, like what's going on, what are some of the unspoken rules that are going on in the family? Some common ones are, don't talk about anything that's not happy or that's not, you know, okay, don't talk about difficult things. Another one is don't show emotion. Another one, especially in this part of the region of the country, is don't show love to like directly say I love you and things like that. Yeah. And it's not like anybody ever says, oh, well, we don't say I love you here, you know, but just people don't say it. Yeah. But one of the other things I like to talk about with families is the culture that we live in. And, you know, it's the whole Minnesota nice thing, you know, which really isn't so nice. It's like, I'll talk about you behind your back and be nice to your face. Right, that's so toxic for relationships and for families. And so what I talk about with them is to be able to identify, like, what's going on here? Are you not addressing the issue out of fear? Because that's probably the number one thing, you know. People don't want to hurt other people, you know, intentionally. But also, conflict is difficult. Talking about these things, it's not a comfortable thing. Nobody likes it, you know, even as counselors, we don't like it, you know. Who wants to really get in there and spar with your, you know, your sister or your mother or something like that, you know.
I've had friends say, I'm so comfortable, I lay it all on the line. I let it all out there. I say what I think.
Well, and there's that too. You know, I see usually either one extreme or the other. You know, either we don't talk about anything or it's just like blah, you know, all out there. And you know, both have their difficulties. Right. You know, so there's a lot of good things about laying it all on the line, but you can also step on a lot of toes and hurt a lot of feelings that way too.
Right.
You know, so unless you have a you know, like a big old Italian family or something like that, that's just, you know, able to, you know, roll with the punches, that type of thing. But that's not what we see generally around this part of the country. It's difficult to engage in these types of conversations. And so the first thing, you know, when you're feeling the need to approach a family member about a conflict or something that's happened, check your own heart. You know, what's going on? Are you just so hacked off that you just want to get revenge and, or like, you know, say something to them that'll really, you know, put them in their place or something like that? Because that's just not going to go anywhere. I mean, I think we all know that that's, you know, you're not going to get a good conversation out of that type of interaction. So check your heart condition, and it's okay to go and talk with a trusted friend, a mentor, a counselor, you know, before you approach a family member about things. You know, if you need to get stuff off your chest, that's okay. As long as you're not, you know, putting it on Facebook and, you know, Twittering and, you know, that whole thing, because that just builds the conflict and builds the animosity between family members, of course.
Is it okay to say, once you've talked with somebody about it, is it okay just to not even bring it up with a family member and say, you know what, I forgive you. In your own heart, I forgive them for what they did, and just move on? Is that okay
Well, that can be an approach. I mean, if it's something that was really, okay, well, this was just my issue. This was just, you know, they said something, I took it the wrong way. It's not worth bringing up. You know, that's one thing. But if this is an ongoing issue, or if this is something where you're being hurt, or where they're hurting other people, then it's definitely worth bringing up. Because what happens is when you try to just forgive and just, you know, oh, I'm not going to bring it up, then we tend to stuff our feelings down. And when we stuff and stuff and stuff, things come out sideways. So it's going to come out anyway, and the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be.
And I'm thinking minor transgressions too.
Yeah,
if they're major, obviously.
Yes, and of course, we all overlook, you know, many of each other's flaws, and many, you know, I think it was Anne Graham Lotz that said, "What is a good marriage made of? Two good forgivers," right? You know, so really, there's a lot of that that is fine.
Okay.
But when this is something that's really long-standing or just really terribly, terribly hurtful and hurting other people, then it needs to be addressed.
Okay, much more on this when we come back.